Good morning, everybody. This is Jeremy Martin from Cinco.medicos, and today's video, I want to talk about preparation before ceremony. And many of the people that I speak with before ceremony, whether it's weeks before or months before, are quite scared and anxious. And I want to let you all know that this is completely natural and very normal. In fact, if you weren't feeling a little bit nervous, I might think that you were being overly cavalier about the experience. I might think that you weren't giving the medicine the respect that it deserves. And so for that reason, I think a few butterflies are actually healthy. And so if, however, those butterflies turn into panicky monsters, well, then we've got some work to do, and I think this video might help. Really, to me, this is a sign that we aren't feeling grounded in our bodies, stable in our minds, and tapped into our heart. And so one of the ways that we can begin to do that is with the breath. So every system in the body relies on oxygen, obviously. From cognition to digestion, effective breathing can not only provide you with a greater sense of mental clarity, but it can also help you to sleep better, digest food more efficiently, improve your body's immune response, reduce stress levels. Essentially, all the hormones in your body are controlled by how we breathe, and that includes stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, as well as the feel-good chemicals like endorphins and serotonin. So this is why I always suggest breath work before doing any meditation, even a couple minutes, which we all have, of doing a basic 4-4-4 breath work technique. So breathing in for 4, holding for 4, and breathing out for 4. Just doing that once can help us to relax and to feel grounded, to find our center, to feel more stable, still, and confident. And that can help us to meditate if that's what we wish to do. But before ceremony, even during ceremony, that can help us to write out those emotions, write out those thoughts and triggers or subconscious parts of us that are coming up to the surface, and work through them. When we breathe, it's important that we do so through the belly and the lower lungs rather than the upper chest. By doing that, we're calming our nervous system so that fight, flight, freeze, sympathetic response turns off and our rest and digest, parasympathetic response turns on. In deep abdominal breathing, we calm the emotions as a result. We are effectively breathing as we did when we were a baby, through our belly. Only now, as an adult, we're consciously focusing on moving our diaphragm in and out to improve vagal tone, which relaxes the organs, the lungs, the heart, the other muscles and parts of the body, the skin even. Breathing is by definition a spiritual practice, and there need not be anything highfalutin about it. The origin of the word spirit comes from the Latin spirare, which means to breathe. So a spiritual person is not someone who talks to beings in other dimensions. It's someone that breathes properly and is connected to the universe just through the breath. And so other good breathwork practices might surprise you, but just singing or humming are actually pretty good. By doing this, you're effectively lengthening your exhale and activating the vagus nerve through the throat, the upper chest, and the lungs. So the vagus nerve innervates this whole part of our body all the way down to our belly. And so there are also movement practices like Qigong, yoga, whether that's Hatha yoga, yin yoga, flow, ecstatic dance, or just a walking meditation in the forest where we're focusing on our breath. Spending time in nature is for the mind what detox diets are for the body. One of my personal favorite breathing exercises is actually Kapalabhati pranayama. It's a skull cleanser, skull shining breath. I'll leave a video in the description below, but essentially the technique is short exhales, and you allow your breath to naturally come in the belly. And I find that to be great. Just 10 minutes in the morning or 10 minutes before ceremony is amazing. Of course, there are many other breathing exercises. I'm not going to list all of them here, but holotropic breath work, rebirthing, neurodynamic. And so if you want to learn more about good breathing exercises, we can talk about that together. And so the second thing that I would suggest is changing your diet. Now, this can be both the easiest and the hardest thing to do for us. A key thing here is that we just acknowledge what the body is actually asking for. Now, sometimes that might be meat. Other times it may be fruit, plants, seeds. If we're on a strict ayahuasca diet, we ought to adhere to those guidelines. If we're doing something like mushrooms or San Pedro, usually the diets for that are much more lenient, and we're going to be doing some intermittent fasting. But generally speaking, I find that we're using plant medicines to become more aware, right? So as Matthias de Stefano put it, to become more aware, you need light. And the best beings that can manifest light on this planet, at least, are plants. They can manifest light into matter. They literally like photosynthesize. So animals are light too, but we're distorted with our emotions and our own history and biology, baggage and things like that. Plants don't really have that, at least in the way we think about it. They just exist, breathe, and harvest light. And so if you're trying to make your memory cleaner and clearer, if you're trying to awaken and enlighten your DNA, you need foods that manifest light. And when you eat a plant, you are actually ingesting the frequency of that plant. It's important to note here that not all plants are alike, but in general, the plant is tuning your frequency into its frequencies. So that tuning is the key or the gateway into entering the dimension of the plant or the perspective of the plant, done over a long period of time, especially with fasting. This is the essence of a shamanic dieta. But certain plants, again, like coffee, that can have a more distorting effect and make us feel a little edgy, nervous, and anxious. And you speak to anybody who's had a second cup of coffee and they're kind of bouncing off the walls. Other plants like cacao, they can help us to feel warmer and more open in our heart. And either way, the basic point to take away here is that the foods that you eat are changing the electromagnetic frequency of your body so that, like a musical instrument, you're being tuned to match whatever other instrument you have consumed, or plant in that case. And so a detox diet can also relieve your body of its toxic load, so it naturally just starts to run better, right? Like there's no grease in the pipes. Food therapy, herbal tinctures, teas, all help to detoxify the physical body at a very deep level. And so, for example, you could cleanse the lymphatic system if you tend to be a little mucousy like me. And you can also work on the liver, the kidneys, and so forth. But if you want to talk more about regenerative foods and herbs, we can discuss that more in person or over the phone. But essentially, it's important that you allow your body to be a cleaner vessel for the medicine, but it also might just help you feel better before ceremony. You might not feel so groggy and lethargic or negative or nervous and afraid before the ceremony as the ceremony is leading up. So pay attention to your diet. And the third thing that I would say is your environment or setting. Um, so, if you live in the city and you're watching lots of TV or you're reading the news, scrolling angry internet forums, and maybe just listening to fear-mongering friends and family, some people are around like helicopters and fire truck sirens, just a lot of noise, angst, and very heavy emotions. To be in a good headspace, you need your environment or setting to be conducive to that space. That's why the Buddha suggested that monks go to the woods. Monk comes from mono, so to be alone, but also to be in a space that allows us to be free from attaching to those thoughts. It's not that we don't have thoughts or emotions, we just don't attach to them. And so to be free of our own toxic thoughts and heavy emotions, like aggression, like anger, we can't be around the toxic thoughts and heavy emotions of others, right? It's like if we want to be clean and everything around us is dirty, well, then we're going to get dirty as well. And I'm not saying that you need to neglect all of your obligations and check out of life completely, but you do need to slow down in order to feel clear. You do need to feel safe in order to open up to the psychedelic journey that you're preparing for. So in short, spending more time alone, being quiet, preferably in nature, because when you're around other people, it's important to make sure that these people are lighter, that they're bringing you up, they're encouraging you, they're supporting you, they're making you laugh and smile, rather than bringing you down, rather than the converse where you would just maybe be feeling afraid or doubtful or confused. So if you signed up for a ceremony a while ago, whether that's weeks, months, or even a year ago, and now you're having a lot of those doubts, again, that's okay. You can always cancel. You can always cancel. You have that choice. Always have that choice just to say no to anything in life. But just be sure that you're being honest with yourself. Maybe look at it like becoming a parent. You might not feel ready per se, but then again, you may never be ready. But if you do feel deeply called to be a parent, just as you may feel deeply called to these medicines, and you feel afraid of being a parent or partaking in a ceremony, both are totally okay, right? That's just being respectful of the honor of being a parent or the honor of being in one of these ceremonies. It's serious work, but just be sure that it's not fear or your ego that's holding you back. To what you feel deep within your heart is what you want to do. And so the practices that I've mentioned in this video are just a way back to that inner knowing. It's accessing that inner wisdom that you have always had and have had all along. And so by breathing, paying attention to your diet, and being in a positive, conducive environment, you can help to mentally, emotionally, and physically prepare yourself for the experience and get what you need. Focus on that intention. And so whether that experience is with me or with someone else, I do wish you all the best, and I hope this video has helped with preparation. So be well, everybody. Thanks for watching. Bye.